got your supplements and functional foods, legal developments, ingredient news, education, inspiration, entertainment, insider in the afternoon.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Insider in the Afternoon. If it's Wednesday afternoon, it's Insider in the Afternoon. That's high noon on the left coast, 3 p.m. I'm in Jersey. Welcome to the show. I'm Todd Runstead, your host, co-host from here at the Hacienda outside of Boulder, Colorado. My compadre here, Ola Lessard from the Pacific Northwest, where it's less than 117 today, I think. Ola, how are you?
It is, but a week and a half ago it was nearing that, so which is not normal, but back to normal today.
You know, like normally it would rain there. So what if it was raining in 114 degrees? I mean, that'd be
interesting. It doesn't rain here in the summer. This is a little known. You know what? I moved from the East Coast, and you know what I miss here is real rain. No thunderstorms, no heavy rain. In the winter, it mists and it sprinkles, but it actually doesn't rain here. You don't use a raincoat. There's no umbrellas. So, but people try not to tell anybody because nobody else wants more people moving here. It's a secret.
Yeah. See, there's always these local secrets in paradise to keep people away. That's what we say here in Colorado. Yeah, it's too much snow. You shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Ola, I was thinking, we are equals under, the vitamin gods here. And I was thinking, do we call it the Todd and Ola show, the Ola and Todd? I was thinking Todd and Ola sounds, it kind of rolls off the tongue a little better because I've had some good times in New Orleans, which is called NOLA, but then I thought, well, is that sort of, am I not woke enough? Because if it's alphabetical, if it's either our first name or our last name, Ola, Todd, Lessard, Runstead, you should be first. And then I thought, we should have a name, we should have like a Batman and Robin,
we should have a name. Yeah.
And so Ink and Blink and a Nod, we don't have a Nod. And I thought, it would be funny. I was like, I just came up with this morning, thoughts while not shaving. Ola and Todd, the multivitamins. What do you think?
We're the multivitamins?
We're the multivitamins. Isn't that funny? There's no, I want everyone to know that there's no dirty label excipients in us. We are clean label. We're cofactors. Hey, wait, should we be the cofactors?
I like the cofactors better than the multivitamins.
The multivitamins?
As a marketing person, I'm striking you down on the multivitamins.
You are?
It just doesn't roll, Todd. It's not, I don't know, the cofactors, I can get behind the cofactors. It might be
get into it, yeah, that. Hey, so if you're watching out there, you can put a little comment in there on which one you like better.
That's right.
Because I
could Ola group show.
Right.
It's a proper name. Everybody help us. We're clearly failing at this task.
If it was the multivitamins, we would, what if I want to be magnesium this week? No, I want to be magnesium. I'm 400 milligrams of magnesium. And then
I'm whatever you are plus 3.
Vitamin D3. Look, here's my D3. My D3 for the day. There it is.
You think I served that up on purpose since you have that on your, he's going to take it. We also talked about doing some kind of a special counter every time Todd takes a supplement of some kind during the show. So that's another idea.
Right. We were doing shots here last week of my when I wake up every morning and I have a nutritional smoothie. My friend Hank Schultz, who better be here, Hank, you said you were going to tune in. He refers to it as my bio sludge. And I like that, I'm running with it. And so when I had it this morning, I had a little acai in it. I put a little moringa in it. And then I had, all kinds of greens that I, stuff. And then I put in Orgain, I really like this protein source. I remember the guy this MD who had cancer and he developed this product. And well, now it's the protein source is pea protein, brown rice, and chia. And I'm thinking when they launched like 10 years ago, pea protein wasn't really a thing. It's gotten a lot more popular. And then it just made me think of all ingredients, all these exotic ingredients that we come up with and we develop and we market. like why do some pass and some fail? Like Noni, I thought it was going to be big and then it wasn't. Baobab never really made it. Acai,
Made
totally.
it.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your
You
favorite
know,
forgotten supplement or ingredient? The one that
you
one of the
know,
ones that feels great, but
I'm partial to pond scum, and I don't know why the marketers don't call it that. They refer to it as spirulina or chlorella, and sure, fine, pond scum, baby. If it's good enough for frogs, it's good enough for me. That's what I
maybe
say.
that's our new band name, Pond Scum.
The pond scums. All right. Well, we'll work on that. We'll get back to you next week, and maybe the Ola and Todd show, Todd and Noah, the cofactors. That could be it. The cofactor, if not the multivitamins. I don't know. I'm still kind of like that. So, we're gonna move on to the next chapter of our show here, and we're gonna talk about another specific ingredient. And I want to welcome Andreas Koch on the show from Silver Wings. He's the colloidal silver people. I just happen to have a bottle right here. In fact, I have a spray right here, and I think you're supposed to put 10. Am I right, Andreas? Is that?
That's it, depending on the ppm, the strength. Yep.
This has got 250 ppm. That tastes like water. It does not taste like pond scum. What's going on with that?
You know what? It's what I like about that is it's great for the whole family. I mean, there's no bitter, weird taste. It's something you just on the go, anytime, anywhere. Just sort of throw it in a briefcase, put it in on your flight. When you're traveling through airports where there's tons of people all over the place, and it's just a little bit of that protection that's super easy and really.
And anything that's good for immunity, people are freaking out about COVID. And, not that colloidal silver is being, purchased for COVID, but any sort of immune enhancement ingredient out there, people are sort of flocking to, like vitamin D is probably the big winner. And but then zinc and elderberry like doubled in sales this last year. So Andreas, let's step back in time a little, because silver has been around since before Christmas carols. Silver and gold, silver and gold. How come silver made it first? I don't know. So what's the story? I mean, it's been going on since Egyptian times, Greek and Rome,
goes
right?
Way back, over 2,400 years. There's actually records of ancient civilization using silver for various reasons, like immune function support. I mean, the ancient, Greeks, the Egyptians, the Phoenicians. Phoenicians stored water in wine and vinegar in silver bottles to prevent it from spoiling. 400 BC, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, has actually journaled about the benefits of silver. So this isn't some like, sort of trend of the week or of the year type of thing. We're going back a long way. I think, Todd, you were a sophomore in high school when it first started to become discovered around the world. And
thank you. And so, we will have Anne-Louise Gittleman talking about radical longevity. I have been obeying the instructions of this book. I'm in my late 80s. I might be 2,800 years old, but thanks to all these functional ingredients, nutritional ingredients, keeping us young and spry and frisky. I mean, isn't like you had said the Phoenicians and whatever happened to them in history? They didn't build the monuments that the Grecians and the Romans did, but water purification systems. I mean, it's still used today in like third world locales to help purify water. Is it not?
It is, and a lot of times you'll see brands that are donating silver for that very reason of just helping third world countries in terms of their water system and purifying for their health, because a lot of these places are in such obsolete areas that all of this help that we can do, and Silver Wings has been a big part of that, so that's a really nice thing. And speaking of history, you were talking about earlier. It's funny, you've heard the expression "born with a silver spoon in your mouth," right? Well, so that goes back to the Middle Ages, when wealthy children benefited by using a silver spoon. So what happens is they found, like, over the years of with plagues that were going on and with a great amount of problems in Europe, that the silver spoon became that gift from monarchs to other wealthy. So hence the line "born with a silver spoon in your mouth." And even later in life, Silver War, World War I, it was silver nitrate was used for healing battle wounds and, used as topically. And even burn
Right.
centers today are using it for burn victims. And NASA in the International Space Station are using silver for purifying water. So this whole thing about seasonal wellness, seasonal immune support, I'm not using seasonal anymore. With everything that's been going on this last year, it's year round. And yes, exactly. This is a year-round thing. I'm doing this year-round. Just taking a nice daily, like a 50 parts per million, 250 or 500 parts if I'm in crowds or traveling where I might have a compromised immune system. And so yes, silver is nothing new, and it's an amazing immune support. Doesn't interfere with any of the herbs. Absolutely not. It can be taken in synchronicity and in harmony. So yeah.
And it was also a big hit, the Silver Spoons in Studio 54 in New York City in the 70s. Am I right? I mean, I don't know if that had anything to...
So now we're talking about age again. But anyways, there's different types of silvers. You have things like I'm holding a tincture. So this is like a 10 parts per million, very clear, almost like water looking like. And then you get into like a 50 parts per million. See how it's got like a little amber color to it?
Right.
And then you get into a 250, a little bit darker. And then finally a 500 gets even darker there. So those are all the particles, the ppm, the parts per million that are in that liquid, giving you that extra strength.
So you want to have it darker. So like if you're a consumer and you're checking out colloidal silver on the shelves, if it's in a liquid form, you would
50
darker is better.
50 is great daily. 250, it's like, okay, I'm around airports, I'm in crowds. 500, all right, something's going on. I'm feeling myself a little under the weather here. I'm going to go 500. And so it's a nice little variable depending on your lifestyle and where you are and what you're doing.
All right. Well, that is our little tutorial on colloidal silver today. Andreas, thank you so much for joining us. And now, that's right. Here, let's.
It's also good for purification on surfaces.
There we go.
Good.
So
Oh my God.
we're not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. We want to go with silver wings.
All right. Well, that's all we have now. And now we're gonna fly on over to Phoenix here, and Sandy Almendarez, she was at the Supply Side Phoenix pop-up event that was just a couple of weeks ago, and she did some really cool interviews with people. Trade shows are coming back, man. Supply Side East in Secaucus coming back in late August. Supply Side West in Vegas. Oh, you know it. Go and check out the site, register and go, and we'll see you there live. And Charlie, why don't you roll that footage of Sandy bringing it on with Bray Verton, the CEO of Columbia Nutritional, a contract manufacturer, and go.
Hi, I'm Sandy Almendarez here at Supply Side Phoenix in June in Phoenix, and I am so excited. I've just met a new friend, everyone, and her name is Bria Veratos. She is CEO of Columbia Nutritional. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thanks for coming to Supply Side Phoenix. Now you're in Portland, right?
Just over the river from Portland, Vancouver, Washington.
Vancouver, Washington. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for flying and coming to Phoenix in June. It's not...
Yeah. It's a little different than the Pacific Northwest.
Well, I was on the trade show floor here, and I was talking to some of your fans about the journey that you've been on during the last 2 years, year and a half. So I would love to just, let's get your background and how you started in this industry, and then just tell the story if you're open to that.
Sure. Well, I started my journey actually at a high throughput food laboratory, so a little bit outside of the industry, for 5 years working for Bayer Vegetable Seed Company. And my job was to transfer protocols from Davis, California to the Portland area. And from there, I ended up moving towards nutraceuticals because I didn't want to move to California. So I took a job at a contract manufacturer in the Portland area, quality-based, focusing on customer complaints. So from there, it was really, I grew in that job in making sure that we did root cause analysis and really looking at the causes of these complaints and collaborating with the different departments. I worked for that organization for about 5 years or so, maybe 6.
I imagine a bunch of customers complaining about the manufacturing and quality really, really like gets you in there and accelerates your understanding and career.
Yes, I was on the floor every single day talking to the operators and learning about really what we were doing and why we were doing it, because the best responses and solutions come from those operators. So it was really cool to learn from the bottom up what was going on.
And I also love that you just took customer complaints and like turned it into make it to a wonderful opportunity.
Yes, it became a huge opportunity, and I'll never forget that person who put me in that position, said this job is what you make it, and I made it something, and it was a lot of fun. But from there I actually received a different opportunity because somebody reached out to me and said Columbia Nutritional had a lot of work ahead of it, and they knew I liked projects. So they asked me to come on board as the director of quality there. And so I took that opportunity.
And briefly, wait, before you go on, Columbia Nutritional, can you explain what kind of business it is?
Sure, so Columbia Nutritional is also a contract manufacturer focusing on capsules, tablets, and powders. And so it was just a transition into some more dosage forms, so I had the opportunity to learn and really hit the ground running in the quality department. So I came on board, and it was an adventure. I joined in 2018 as the director of quality, and there was a lot of work to be done. Mm-hmm. And we did it. Over the last 3 years, we've completely turned the organization around. I was actually promoted from the director to VP of quality in January of 2019. And from there, I was promoted to COO in February of 2020. The reason being our company had some challenges, financial challenges, and we ended up undergoing Chapter 11 restructuring. So it gave us the opportunity to completely redo everything. And it has been a lot of work, but a lot of fun. We have a great team. We exited Chapter 11 restructuring, and in December of 2020, I was promoted to CEO based on the recommendation from the restructuring firm. So quality is number one at Columbia Nutritional.
I love this story because one, your outlook is just so amazing and sunny. And then two, CEOs normally don't come from the quality side. We'll see, maybe a marketing director or a sales lead.
Yeah, and we took this opportunity to do something different in the marketplace because that's right, it's usually sales or marketing. And so they wanted to show that we are doing it by action and plan. So that's why I'm sitting in this role today.
Oh, that's so exciting. Thank you so much, Bria, for sharing your story, for again coming to SupplySide Phoenix, and I'm excited to see what your next year is going to be like.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. That was awesome. Sandy, thanks for just bringing it home for us. Again, I just can't wait to go live in the world and see everybody. All right. Now we have the Toddcast here, the meat of the show. And we've got a great guest today. We have Ann-Louise Gittleman, Radical Longevity. And if you want to know more, go to annlouise.com. You can see your name up there in case you can't figure out how to spell that. Radical Longevity. Great book. Now, this is a book. It's about sharpening the brain, strengthening the body, reversing, the symptoms of aging. Brand new book just came out. And what really struck me is sort of, you have these 7 rules of this radical longevity. Number 1 is immune support. And then there's also, detoxifying your home and your body. There's skin health, cellular regeneration, which is a really fascinating topic. And I want to dig in a little bit on that. The gut-brain axis, which is, really important, gaining a lot. And then you also have radical longevity recipes. So that's really interesting to me, because I'm, trying to get better as a domestic person here and, had a lot of time to sit around by myself in the kitchen over the last year. And then the appendix, which was this master table of prescriptive elements. It's basically a supplement formulator's guide for a range of health conditions. Bravo. So, Ann-Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You look great. And, how's it going? How does it feel to get this book published? Pretty nice, huh?
Number 37, Todd. So it feels wonderful.
37. Oh my God, you put me to shame. That is fantastic. Let's talk about the rule number one: immunity is everything. So you go through the typical ones, the vitamin C and D and zinc and even quercetin and melatonin. Quercetin sales doubled over the past year. I think there was a study showing some effect against COVID, and there was a mad rush to there. Melatonin. Now people think of that as sort of a sleep aid, but it has immune benefits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It has amazing immune benefits, especially at higher dosages. Now, typically we take a 3 milligram dosage, but 10 to 20 milligrams has been shown to really activate the immune system. People are using it for autoimmune conditions. They're using it to get over virus. They're using it just to up the ante, so to speak. So I think it's really important because so many of us are surrounded by so many EMFs in this day and age, and EMFs are really the killer of melatonin. Melatonin can activate glutathione and SOD, two very important antioxidants and enzymes in the system that get rid of free radicals. So I think it's really an unsung hero. But again, 3 milligrams and sometimes up to 10 to 20 milligrams in a time release form. So melatonin, it really has come of age in this day and time. And I think you need to be under a healthcare practitioner's guidance to really get the proper dosage.
Why don't we know that, Anne Louise? I mean, that is such new news. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Have you, Todd? I mean, that's fascinating. And everybody has melatonin in their medicine cabinet probably. So,
but maybe not enough, right? Like, because maybe you get 3 or 5 milligrams for sleep, but you're talking up to 20 milligrams.
We're talking up to 20 milligrams, and some practitioners use up to 40 milligrams, but you do it under the guidance of the healthcare practitioner. And I think the thing about this, Ola, is that a lot of the very integrative avant-garde healers are using it. And so it's not out there in the mainstream media the way that it should be. And I know it's important because it's the only hormone that actually is an antioxidant hormone that can penetrate the blood-brain barrier. So this is really outstanding stuff.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great tip for us to know about.
And speaking of tips, there Jacob Teitelbaum, who is a friend of mine, he's like, I've done podcasts with him. He hasn't been on the show yet, but he will actually have him scheduled in a month or so. He had this great thing to say about this book and about you, Anne Louise, and just this idea of what we just learned something about melatonin. He says in the book, want to see what the experts will be saying 25 years from now? Simply see what Anne Louise is saying now. Woo! I love that. That's got
He's very sweet and very kind.
Right.
But you see, but the reality is I'm a canary. I'm exceedingly sensitive. So if something works on me, it's going to work for everybody. I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine. So I write about what no other people kind of cover because I'm so very sensitive. You know, my genetics show that I have 3 of the 4 detox pathways blocked. So I have to do the right thing. I have to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Interesting. So detox, I mean, rule 5 in the book is activate cellular rejuvenation. And this is where the Live Longer cocktail comes into play. You talk about this and, you had me a cocktail and a Live Longer cocktail, I'm all ears. And so you talk about cranberry, chia seeds, and greens. What's that all about? Should I be putting frozen cranberries in my morning smoothie, in my bio sludge now? Is that like a good thing?
Well, BioSludge can either take the frozen cranberries or the unsweetened cranberry juice. And I learned a long time ago that this is the only juice that cleans out the lymphatic system. And I know that all of you are aware how important the lymphatic system is. It's the garbage collector system of the body. So it helps with phase 1, phase 2 detox. That's number 1. The chia seeds hold water in solution, so it can actually give your body a type of structured water, which is the latest, greatest thing in the water industry. And then, of course, you've got the greens, which are so high in chlorophyll, very important for their magnesium content. But this is something that people should use on a daily basis because it also benefits the pH. So this is my Live Longer cocktail, good for the liver and good for the lymphatic system. And the two of them go hand in hand.
That is fascinating. And so chia seeds, I mean, they, maybe it was 10 years ago, they first started, making a name for themselves. But it wasn't really for what you're talking about right now, was it? It was just kind of like a new hip sort of healthy omega-6.
Well, a new very high in omega-3 and very high in calcium, and actually seed-based calcium. But I'm finding that it also holds water in the system. And now in this day and age, with all the temperatures rising, especially here in North Idaho, where we're at 102 today, I think, you need to have as much water in your system as possible. So that 3 is kind of the trifecta of living longer, living better, and living stronger.
That is fascinating. And I just want to point out that 102 Pshaw Ola, it's okay to, poo-poo that because you were up at like 114, 116 in the Pacific Northwest last week. Oh my God. Speaking of the omegas, omega 3s, they get all the headlines, EPA and DHA, but olive oil, it's like, it's like a healthy omega 6. And you seem pretty keen on hemp seed oil. Now, hemp seed oil, not to be confused with hemp oil like CBD. Talk a little bit about the glories of hemp seed oil.
Well, it's a source of gamma linolenic acid, and people seem to forget that good GLA, good omega-6s are just as important as good omega-3s, and it has the primary ratio of 3-to-1 in favor of omega-6 that the body actually evolved from. So I'm a big believer in hemp, and the motto in the book that you may have seen is kind of like a hemp hooray. You need that for the cellular membrane, you need it for the mitochondria, the little cellular power plants, and you need it because it's an absorptive element of radiation. And we're so surrounded by radiation, the non-ionizing and the ionizing radiation, we need something to protect the cells. So 1 to 2 tablespoons a day gets rid of psoriasis and eczema as well. If people start taking this hemp seed oil, and I give you name brands, I give you amounts and how to put it in salad dressings and so forth, they will see that all of these unresolved skin conditions will disappear in 2 to 3 weeks.
That's fascinating. So, when I make salads, I just drown them in olive oil. Should I be putting hemp seed oil in? Should I mix it?
You should do a little bit of both, a little bit of a virgin olive oil, the best olive oil that you can find, a little bit of hemp seed oil or the hemp heart. So that would be 1 tablespoon of each in the salad with a little bit of apple cider vinegar or balsamic vinegar. And of course, the best herbs, which are antiviral and antimicrobial and so forth, would probably be thyme and sage.
Apple cider vinegar. That's it's finally getting a little wider range acceptance because people are developing it into gummies and it doesn't taste quite so much like vinegar.
Well, it's getting more respect as we get older. It's getting a lot more respect, and it's it should, because it's a good source of potassium, and it's also helpful in keeping your body at very, very high levels for the production of hydrochloric acid, which we're very deficient in as a society. So I love the apple cider vinegar. It blunts the absorption of carbohydrates. It also makes food taste very good.
All right. So now let's move on. Rule number 3 is AGEs, the advanced glycation end products. Now, this is really interesting to me because, all you formulators out there, healthy aging, anti-aging, come up with a supplement, around AGEs. Talk a little bit about that, about the advanced glycation end products. I've been hearing this for a long time, but I'm sure you could spell it out for me in a way that even I can understand.
Well, it's something that's really new to all of us in the nutrition industry. So this is research that was done back in the 90s by a woman by the name of Helen Blacera, who studied at the Rockefeller University, did actual research in diabetes, and found that the underlying cause of diabetes was the predomination of these advanced glycation end products, which are altered proteins and altered fats, which are altered by the interaction with sugar, a sugar molecule. So these are very sticky molecules that are very inflammatory, that harden tissue and are very involved with the diminution and the decreasing amount of some of the longevity genes. So it's a very important element that people have to become much more aware of. Now, the way that you get these is with the foods that you're eating, especially animal products like bacon and cheese, as well as butter. Plant products are much less involved with AGEs, and the way that you cook is also probably one of the major ways of getting it. That's where the air frying is no good. Anything that's high and dry, broiling, frying, roasting, not good, and even very high temperature cooking.
Wow. Hold on. I want to make sure I get this right. Is bacon good or bad?
Not good.
Oh, but it's its own food group. Come on.
It's its own food group. And that's why the ketogenic diet may make you thinner before your time, but it's not good for the aging process within the system. They're some of the highest age-ridden foods are the bacon or the cheese, as well as some of the butters that people are eating. So high animal food products are very high in AGEs.
I know. I'm feeling your stress, Todd. The butter is the thing that's going to kill me as an Irish girl. That's the hard one for me.
What about coconut oil instead?
Less involved with AGEs.
What about like real cheese? Go ahead on the coconut oil.
The lower.
This break brought to you by H2O. Hydrate your day.
Ageless. No, it's the low fat. The low fat cheeses are much healthier than the higher fat cheeses when it comes to ages. That's all the silver I was doing, Andreas. It's dripping in my system.
So boy, I mean, how do we tell if it's a low fat or a high fat cheese? Like I know American cheese isn't actually cheese. But when you go to the nice cheese section,
It's low fat cheddar. Low fat cheddar has the lowest ages of all the cheeses. It's the way the cheese is processed. It's processed using it's cultured and it's aged, and that increases ages exponentially.
God, all right, so low fat cheese. Look for a low fat cheese. Goodness gracious. Well, all right, so we only have 1 minute left, and let's talk about optimizing the gut brain connection. I mean, this has really taken, gotten a lot of attention. When I think gut brain, I'm worried about how I have to pass gas at the dinner table in mixed company. That's horrible. Is there a supplement I can take for flatulence? I mean, are we talking enzymes, probiotic?
I think the hydrochloric acid or the apple cider vinegar is really the key. You want to acidify the gut. That's probably one of the most important organs to acidify. So taking 500 milligrams of HCl per day, I think, is incredibly important for anybody past the age of 40. That would be number one. And number two, looking at a probiotic that's not terribly high in CFUs. I think going beyond 10 billion CFUs really puts the immune system on overload. So it's taking staggering amounts of probiotics on a daily basis, but not overloading at one point.
All right. Well, I mean, there's so much wisdom flying out of Ann Louise's mouth right now. If you want more,
can't get out fast enough.
I tell you, it's amazing. Book number 37, Radical Longevity. Great book. Ann Louise, thank you for joining us. Andreas, thanks for there. Ola, of course. We are the Cofactors. Until next week. Thanks. We'll see you again. If it's Wednesday afternoon, it's Insider in the afternoon, and we'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Bye now.